This is Renelle, and welcome to Quality Hang with Rod Brooks and friends. And here he is now, your host, my main man, Rod Brooks.
Welcome, everybody, to another edition of your favorite broadcast. Indeed, it is Quality Hang. I am Rod Brooks, and as always, I am joined on this broadcasting adventure by my partner in crime, my man, Marcus Osborne. What's up, my brother?
What's up, man? It's good to be back.
Yes, sir.
Show number 2.
Doing it post-game style. Rockets
Yeah.
Warriors game 2 just finished up. The series is now even at 1 as the Rockets take game 2, 109-94. That was a very, very physical basketball game. And the big story, obviously, is that physical play led to Jimmy Butler getting injured in the first quarter, Marcus, and that absolutely just completely changed the entire tenor of the game and basically put the kibosh on the Warriors' chances of actually winning the contest.
Yeah, that was pretty much a wrap. Jimmy goes down, and then also what affected the Warriors definitely is Podziemski getting sick.
Yes,
and he didn't play much at all, and when he did play, he was definitely not the same guy we've seen the last month or so. And you see him sitting on the bench, he was looking like somebody kicked him in the face. So it was just, you knew this was a wrap. I did think the Warriors, what's funny is I did think the Warriors would make this a closer game, but it's, you know what, dude? It's just a perfect storm for a loss. Jalen Green goes out of his mind, and everybody else is shooting wells. The Warriors all of a sudden can't hit twos to save their lives. And of course, Steph and Draymond, the turnover kings, it was just really dumb, sloppy basketball.
Yeah, a lot to get into, and to start with Butler and Podziemski. Losing Brandon Podziemski, it was 14 points for Brandon Podziemski in game 1. Not saying that he was going to get 14 points if he did not have a stomach bug, said he ate something bad in Houston, and that was the cause of his illness, but not saying that Podziemski was going to get 14 points. But again, he's been a key cog in the Warriors' resurgence, along obviously with the main guy, Jimmy Butler, since Jimmy Butler got into the mix. So not having Podziemski's offense and his ability on the court, and then add to that Jimmy Butler going down early, I shouldn't say early, but in the first quarter, early in the game, that absolutely changed everything. I mean, there were times where, the Warriors had lineups out there of Quentin Post, Jonathan Kuminga, who we'll get to in a bit. He came off the bench. Post, Kuminga, Spencer, Draymond, and Steph. There was another lineup I saw, wrote it down here. Looney, Spencer, Steph, Guy Santos, and Moody. Podziemski, he eventually did come in the second half, but just was unable to provide anything to the Warriors, not for lack of trying, but clearly you could see that he was compromised with the stomach issue or what have you. But you had Podziemski, you had Post, Moody, Kuminga, and Draymond. I mean, that was a 5 on the floor for at one time for Steve Kerr. Once Jimmy Butler got hurt, and we'll get into the injury, how it happened, was it dirty, was it friendly fire? But the thing about Butler is not only do you miss his offense, you miss his defense. He's a guy that can harass you in the turnovers. The Rockets were much better in protecting the ball in this game, mainly because they had to be, but also Jimmy Butler wasn't out there to be a disruptor. But Jimmy Butler, and we talked about this, Marcus, on the air and off the air, that Jimmy Butler coming to the Warriors, you get his talent, but you also get what good players do, is that when they get into the mix, everyone else gets put in their correct place. And you saw immediately when Jimmy Butler got hurt, the Warriors' rotations, along with not having Brandon Podziemski available, the Warriors' rotations were just completely and totally shot.
Yeah, I mean, I'm certain that obviously the Warriors are very disappointed because they had an opportunity to get a little greedy tonight. But you come out there, you place pretty much, I would say, simple-minded basketball, talking about Steph and Draymond, and then you lose a stabilizing factor like Jimmy Butler and Podziemski. They both are very major factors in keeping this team grounded, and they both are really good rebounders. There's a lot of rebounding being lost. They're both, obviously, Butler's a great defender, but Pods is a pretty strong defender himself. He's not got somebody who's going to get run over. And so you lose those elements, you lose leadership, you lose toughness with both those guys out. It's because that guy, he has a lot of swag. He thinks he's better than he is, which I'm okay with. But we call it irrational self-confidence, and it's a good thing sometimes. But you lose those dudes, man, it's probably going to be a long night.
Yeah, the Warriors once again got out-rebounded, 33 rebounds for the Warriors, 7 of them offensive. The Rockets with 47 boards, 11 of them offensive. Rockets much better in protecting the ball, only had 13 total turnovers for 13 Warrior points. The Warriors had 15 turnovers that led to 14 Rockets points. But for me, just watching this game, and taking my fandom out of it, being a lapsed Rockets fan, but growing to like this team, some of the guys on the team anyway. By the way, I'm not in any way, shape, or form related to Dylan Brooks. All we share is a last name. That's it. But to me, it was pretty simple with the Rockets. They had to play much better than they did in game one, and they did play much better than they did in game one. You mentioned Jalen Green, who was basically a zero in game one. He shot 6 of 15. 13 of 25 from the floor, 8 of 18 from three. That's the best he's ever shot against the Golden State Warriors. But Green was better. I mentioned the rebounding numbers. The Rockets continue to handle their business on the boards. Defensively, the Rockets are an elite team. Now, how they go about playing defense, we'll get into, because they are a very rough and rugged team. I'm sure a lot of you out there are going to say that they're dirty. And we'll get into, obviously, the Jimmy Butler play and how we got hurt in just a second. But the Rockets were absolutely zeros offensively in game one. They shot much better, not just from the field, not just Jalen Green, but also from the free throw line. So the Rockets playing better, along with the Warriors being compromised, obviously, without Jimmy Butler and Podziemski, but also, and I want to be very careful how I say this, because I don't believe that the Warriors shied away from contact or anything, but the physical nature of this series is something that they are kind of growing into. And I think they did that in game two. It's still not necessarily the way that they play and thrive, but I think it's something that they've had to deal with. They've dealt with a little bit, and it's going to be a recurring issue over the course of this series. And it goes all the way to game 4 or game 7 on May 4th.
Yeah, man. It's an interesting point. I actually think this Warriors team is probably one of the tougher teams they've had in the last few years. Being physical, I don't think it bothers them. I think they've had to become a lot more physical. Plus, when you've got Draymond and Jimmy out there, and I think you're just okay with being physical. I just think this is just a night where a perfect storm for a win. The Warriors, I think they shot over 40% from three tonight, but they were like less than 40% from two. That's terrible.
39 and a half from three, 17 of 43. So we'll call it 40%. We'll round up. And the Warriors were 41% from the field overall, 33 for 80.
That's just terrible, man.
Yep.
You're not going to win any games that way. And you turn the ball over. Even the rebounding tonight, yes, the Warriors expected to be out rebounded by the Rockets and expected the Rockets to have more offensive rebounds, but they literally cut that number in half from game one, from 22 to 11.
Mm-hmm.
So this game was there to be won. If you're a Warriors fan, this game was there to be won. Houston came out hot. They made very, very timely runs. Every single time the Warriors got it down to 10 or 9, they would immediately turn it over 3 or 4 times in a row.
Yep.
Usually out of the hands of Steph Curry, either a turnover on him. We watched this guy for years. Everybody's a fan of Steph Curry, but he makes some boneheaded mistakes sometimes. One of those things, he hasn't seemed to learn this yet. You cannot try to keep dribbling out of double and triple teams. Give the ball up. And I can't.
But here's the question, though.
Yeah.
To whom?
Doesn't matter. You got to get rid of it. It's better than a turnover. If there are 3 guys on you, that means there's people open, right?
Yeah.
So get rid of the ball, because what he keeps doing is, and they are trapping him immediately. Once he starts to dribble that ball, they just send guys over there, and he keeps trying to dribble through him like he's Curly Neal. Give the ball up, dude. It'll come. He knows this. Give it up. It'll come back to you.
I understand that, and that is the hallmark of this Warriors offense. And you don't want turnovers. But for me personally, I would rather Steph try to be Steph. And to me, this is the time for hero ball. Like I mentioned, there was one lineup out there where you had Looney, Spencer. By the way, shout out to Pat Spencer. It's the Pat Spencer game. We're going to remember this forever. But Looney, Spencer, Steph, Santos, Moody. Now I'm cherry picking here to make a point. But if Steph has the ball and he's got 2 to 3 guys, he's got 2 guys coming at him and the third guy thinking about coming at him, I want Steph to keep the ball in his hands because, again, who you passing to in that situation? God bless Pat Spencer for, you ain't got to get ready if you stay ready. And he stayed ready because he's got just as many, if not more, DMPs as Jonathan Kuminga. And Spencer didn't have to knock any rust off of himself. But Spencer, Santos, Moody, Looney, who are you going to pass the ball to?
You want Steph to have the ball, but you want him to make smart decisions that a guy who's been playing for 17, 16 years should be able to make.
Mm-hmm.
Get rid of it. It's coming back to you. But the idea of just keep trying to dribble, and just turning it over all the time is not helping you at all.
Out of the 15 turnovers the Warriors had, Steph was responsible for 6, Draymond responsible for 5. Let's get to Draymond in and talk about the Butler injury. Draymond Green, not particularly good in this game, was not good in the last game. Obviously, he has to be better for the Warriors, but Draymond Green is dealing with a lot because, as we saw once again, Rockets saw that big lineup out there. A lot of times Draymond Green is the guy who has to deal with that big lineup, but that's just his lot in life right now. Draymond's carrying a lot on his shoulders in terms
and to be fair to Draymond, Şengün wasn't the problem tonight.
No. I'm not saying that. I'm talking about the fact that he had those 5 turnovers. I'm talking about the fact that Draymond only had 4 rebounds. It's just that he has. So not only does he have to deal with Şengün, he's got to deal with Steven Adams at times. He's got to be, Draymond and do all the stuff that Draymond needs to do for this Warrior team to be the team they want to be in full. There is a lot on his plate. And if Jimmy Butler is not around, if Jimmy Butler is not around for however many games, and I hope it's none, with the Warriors not having a game until Saturday, with this being the first round, there's just so many big breaks in between games. Maybe this is going to work out for the Warriors. But if Jimmy Butler is not around for a game or a few games, the pressure and the weight, and he's not going to shy away from it, but the pressure and the weight of all the stuff he has to do, you would think it's eventually going to wear down on Draymond.
Oh, I mean, I'm sure it already has. I mean, he's spoken in the past about the pressure of playing these big old 270. And luckily for Draymond, he's not a tall guy, but he's not a small guy. You know what I'm saying? He's a good 240 himself. So it's not like he's completely overmatched in terms of weight, but it wears you down after a while, man. And when you and this is as much, I think this might be the most center he's ever played at this advanced age. So I know it's hard on him. I don't know what they're going to do. But I think that I still think that this is a team that the Warriors match up well with long term. I think that they will have the opportunity to go out there and get game 3 when they come back to Chase. They got the split. So, you want to get greedy, but if Jimmy Butler comes back, Pods will be back. And we should have ourselves a game again. I don't like this though, Rod. I don't like it. I don't like the people
the style of basketball.
Yeah, people bitch about how in the 90s it was so much better. Yeah, you watch this shit tonight, you're like, nah. No thanks.
So you want to take it back to the 90s, huh?
Yeah,
I mean, listen, between this series and Pistons Knicks in the East, if you are wistful for 90s basketball, you're getting all you can eat right now from both of those series.
Right, and you remember those Pistons Knicks series? Those were 82 to 79 games.
Oh yeah. Oh, just terrible. Jimmy Butler, his injury. What'd you see? Did you see malicious intent from Thompson? Did you see just rough and tumble basketball being played? How'd you view it?
I'm not one of those cats who sees malicious intent in most of these. I think 90% of the time, most of these guys aren't really trying to be not trying to hurt people.
Yeah.
I mean, people say that about Draymond. They say it about Dylan. I don't think they're trying to hurt people. But sometimes it happens.
But if you get hurt in the process of them playing the way that they play, they're just going to look at it as
they're going to look at it as being dirty. Yeah. And I think that you're being aggressive, and this is the style of basketball you've chosen to play. And sometimes if you're reckless, you will hurt somebody. I guess that's the only thing that would make me upset, is that if you're out there being reckless, play tough, whatever. A good thing is that the refs were on top of a lot of this stuff tonight.
Yeah, I thought the referees. I thought the referees did as good a job as you can do, considering the two teams and the way that they play. I didn't see a crazy foul disparity, although I did think it was odd that Steph didn't shoot his first free throws coming off of a foul committed against him by Houston. He didn't take a free throw off of that until about 2:10 left to go in the third quarter.
That's crazy.
That's wild. And I said that how Steph is officiated is going to, it's obviously going to be an issue, but I think it's going to fluctuate as this series goes on. But I'm with you. I didn't see any malicious intent in terms of the Butler injury. Draymond was being active. Steven Adams was in there being active. Thompson, I think, just kind of got caught in the crossfire, got pinballed.
Yep.
I watched that play over and over again. I'm looking at it now on the TV here to my left. I just don't see Amen Thompson going, this is my chance for me to use my head to undercut Jimmy Butler in a very dangerous position. I don't blame Draymond. I don't see Draymond. I know people are trying to say, well, he pushed Thompson. I mean, there was some jostling there, but I didn't see a Draymond push of Thompson to lead Thompson to kind of bend his head and his neck and undercut Jimmy Butler. I just think it was the style of basketball that's being allowed by these referees.
Yeah, I wish they would stop it.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that, but you know what? The Rockets are saying, nah, man, don't stop it, because I think it was being called in the other way as well.
I that's what I'm saying. I don't like watching these kinds of games. To me, it doesn't matter who the participants are. It's just that I don't like foul fest. I don't think that's defense. I know people brag about it. We stopped such and such because we were more physical. Nah, I don't want to see that shit. I don't want to see that.
Marcus Thompson, not a fan of physical 90s basketball.
Yeah. Listen, when you're there and it's Jordan, okay, cool. I'll watch those games because you get to watch Jordan or Barkley. You get to watch those guys. But other than, watching the Pacers in the 90s, ugh. The Knicks, ugh. Just Houston was one of my favorite teams to watch because I loved the way they played ball. I loved the way they played ball. They were back then, and you had Keem, and you had a solid squad. They probably could have won another ring, to be completely honest with you, but that's another story for another day.
You mean if Charles Barkley had not left John Stockton alone in Game 6 of the 1997 Western Conference Finals? Are you talking about that title? That they could have won.
It was time to give it up then. Yeah, you knew it was time to give it up.
Not that I remember that, with any amount of anger at all. What'd you think about your boy Jonathan Kuminga being pressed into duty for about 26 minutes and change?
Yeah, I'm sure Warrior Nation won't like me saying this. I don't think Kuminga's a bad guy. I think he's a decent rotational player. I don't think he's the superstar, the savior that so many of the Warrior fans believe he is. As I keep saying, listen, I like his athleticism, but what is he elite at other than jumping and running? He's not an elite shooter. He's not an elite passer. He's not an elite defender. Like, what is this? He's not an elite post player. What are we talking about with this guy?
Here's the thing that I harp on, and this is one of, if not the main reason why he does not stay in Steve Kerr's favor, his rotation. I don't want to make this a personal thing, but why he does not get on the floor. Jonathan Kuminga, when it comes to team defense, he just doesn't. It's just not.
It's bad.
It doesn't click the way that it needs to for him to stay on the floor.
Bad.
Offensively, from a team standpoint, it just doesn't click for him to stay on the floor. But to me, the main thing is the rebounding. 26 minutes and change last night. He had 3 rebounds.
I'm sorry.
That's just not going to get it done.
That's what I'm saying. These are the types of things that I'm talking about. Like, people want to we should just throw him out there for 30 minutes. For what? Like, he hasn't earned 30 minutes a game yet. They were going to go with him that way earlier in the season because they're desperate. Yeah. But it's not because,
and you could do that in the season, earlier in the season.
Yeah. Yes, sir. And so, listen, Jonathan Kuminga has been there for 4 years. I don't see a gigantic leap and improvement in everything. He's a little bit better, but you know how I know that Steve Kerr is not in the wrong here? Listen to the way Steph and Draymond talk about Jonathan
100%.
Kuminga. 100%. They are constantly saying he needs to play defense. He needs to stay ready. They are never, ever saying that, no, he should be playing 30 minutes a game. We need to have him out there. They do not. They feel the same way. They say it without saying it.
If Steph in particular wanted Jonathan Kuminga out there,
Mhm.
Jonathan Kuminga would be out there. And this is not to dump, because Jonathan Kuminga is not the singular personification of Warrior woe. He wasn't the reason they lost tonight.
That's
Okay,
right.
not at all.
Right.
Not blaming on him. But with Jimmy Butler being injured for we don't know how long, and again, game 3 is Saturday. Jonathan Kuminga is going to have to play.
Yeah.
And he's going to have to log about the same number of
Yeah.
minutes he logged tonight, 26 minutes and change. And, for me, the 4-12 doesn't bother me. What bothers me are the 2 rebounds and the 2 free throw attempts. I don't need you taking I don't need you taking 5 threes, dog. I don't care what situation it is. I don't need you taking 5 threes. I need you getting to the rack, right? Using that athleticism. Now, again, the Rockets, they're on scholarship too. They know that they want to make Jonathan Kuminga shoot the ball. They know that Jonathan Kuminga, when he's feeling froggy, wants to shoot the ball, right? He wants to play one-on-one offense, and he wants to get his numbers. He's a young cat like that. So, give the Rockets credit for, I don't want to say necessarily forcing him into taking these shots, but understanding that they could sort of goad him into that. This is where he's got to be better. I got to get to the basket. I got to get to the free throw line, and I got to get these rebounds. And we are once again seeing, not blaming him for this loss tonight, because he is not the reason the Warriors lost. However, because he's going to have to play with Jimmy Butler's status being in question, how Jonathan Kuminga gets down on the court is now a topic of discussion. I think is worthy having.
Absolutely. I mean, when people say, well, why is Keith Santos on the floor before Jonathan Kuminga? It's very clear. You just watch the 2 of them play.
Mm-hmm.
Watch Gee play, watch JK play. It's night and day. It's night and day. So if I'm a coach, if I see those two dudes playing, I'm like, I want the guy with the energy who is chasing every single rebound and who's always planning to play hard-nosed defense. That's the guy I want out there. Sorry.
Yeah. Them's the way it works. So right now for the Warriors, I mean, the big, question mark and challenge for them is not having Jimmy Butler around. If Butler cannot play, worst case scenario, he is out for a good portion of the 5 remaining games that are on tap.
Yep.
The old if necessary thing.
Did you tell them what the injury was, Rod?
Pelvic contusion. Yes. I know this is YouTube. Yeah. And I know it is, it is 10 minutes to 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, but pelvic contusion. But so again, how long he could be out? Yeah, you just don't know. You honestly don't know.
I mean, how many games did Steph? He had it twice, right?
That's right. I forgot that Steph did have it.
The first time he was out for a while, and then the second time he missed like 2 games. So if we're lucky, that's the one that Jimmy Butler has. Maybe he'll miss 1 game.
The question I have to you and the folks who are in the chat, we see you, Patty from Napa, and Michael and Joe Schmo, and Backyard Chickens and Wildlife.
What a name.
What a weirdo. The question is, if Jimmy Butler has to miss 3 of the next 5 potential games, or worst case scenario, he cannot play for the rest of the series, can the Warriors win this series?
No. Well, I shouldn't say that. Yes, they can.
How?
But significantly, the odds decrease.
They're going to have to shoot the lights out. And this is where Steph being Superman, which is entirely possible, but Steph being Superman is going to be the order of the day.
Well, I mean, it's not like the Rockets have been blowing these dudes out all year long.
No.
So I mean,
not at all.
And they didn't have Jimmy, so
right.
And they beat him the first 3 times they played him. So it's not like they can't beat him. They just will have a much more difficult time if they are going to beat them. They have home court advantage now, so that's a plus for them. And we'll see what happens from here. But, like I said, I think it's significantly tougher because they don't have another playmaker like Jimmy Butler.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, I think, one of the most underappreciated aspects of his game. He is a playmaker. He makes everybody around him better. He is a leader. He's a closer. I would love to see Jonathan Kuminga elevate his game and do some of the things. If
Like Jimmy
he
Butler, like getting to the free throw line.
get to the free throw line, rebounding the ball,
Yep.
playing defense, elevating the rest of the squad, taking really smart shots, don't turn the ball over. That's another thing about JK that drives me crazy. He wants to be an ISO player, but he can't dribble. He's very easy to guard guy. Very easy to guard guy. He cannot handle the ball. So I would love to see him suddenly become Jimmy Butler and do some of the things that Butler does. But I just don't think it'll happen.
That's a big ask, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's a massive ask.
Yeah. Even if you got one of those things,
Just give me the rebounds. Give me the
Yeah,
rebounds.
yeah.
Give me the rebounds.
yes,
If I could get the rebounds and the individual defense, because that's the thing with Kuminga, is that when he is at his best, he is functional in the team defensive concept, or at least he's not hurting you. He's giving you rebounds. He's getting to the basket, but you can also say, because this has been a problem for the Warriors, big guards and wings, if they can get to the basket, they just eat the Warriors' lunch. If you could get Kuminga to play that one-on-one defense and turn somebody's water off, that's huge. That's absolutely huge.
Yeah, amen. I think he can do those things. I think he has to decide and listen to his vets, Steph and Draymond. He has to decide, I'm going to get out there. I'm going to focus on playing defense. I'm going to focus on rebounding. This is a dude who can accidentally score 20 points, right? He doesn't need to have the ball in order to get that 20 points. He can accident putbacks. Love to see a bunch of putbacks. If he decides to do it, I think, and this now it's me playing psychologist. I feel like he thinks he's better than he is.
I think that's a fair assessment. That's a fair assessment. But if you ain't gonna love yourself, who's going to love you?
Certainly not my mama.
Leave your mother out of this. Can we shout out Moses Moody? Can we shout out Moses Moody? Moses Moody tonight, 4-7 from the field, 3-6 from the 3-point line. Moses Moody these last couple of games, and he's definitely a guy that has benefited from Jimmy Butler getting into the mix and put Moses in his comfortable spot. Moses Moody, once again, man, you see why there were so many people who clamored for him to get minutes. And once he found his way to be able to work within the framework of what Steve Kerr expects from his wings in an offensive and defensive sense, Moses Moody out there, man, he ain't gonna hurt you. He's definitely gonna help you out.
I heard Coach Kerr say yesterday that Moses Moody has become one of the most important players on his team. That's a high compliment. I respect Moses Moody a lot because he came in, he did the work, he got his minutes, he made the best of that opportunity, and now they can't get him off the floor.
Yeah. Make it hard for the coach to not play you.
Yes.
And Moses Moody has made it hard for the coach to not play him. And again, this is not a dump on Jonathan Kuminga moment, but this is just comparatively speaking.
Yeah.
Kuminga makes it hard for Steve Kerr to play him
consistently. Yes, because he's so inconsistent. So and when
Pajimski made it to where they had to play him.
That's right. So, and that's my thing. Like, here's a guy who's a second-year player. He played well last year. He made it tough. And if people think that Steve Kerr doesn't like young guys, that's not true. I'm sure he would love to get more young guys in it. Remember, you started the year with TJD. He played himself off the court.
Hey, we had a TJD sighting tonight. Man, been on the bench so long, he grew himself a beard. Like, who's his brother out here looking like Carlos Boozer with hair? Like, oh, that's TJD.
And you know that they'd love to be able to get that kid out there. They would love to be able to get that kid out there. Yeah. That's what's so funny. Like, people go, he doesn't like Kuminga. He doesn't like such and such player. Like, you think Steve Kerr is not going to play a dude that's going to help him win? That's just insane to me. It's insane. Of course he's going to play the people who he thinks is going to help him win. But he's not going to play you if he doesn't think you're going to help him win.
Buddy Hield is maddening. To see someone who is a good 3-point shooter.
Yeah.
to see him miss shot, and this has been going on for weeks now. This just didn't start, these last couple of games here in the
Yeah.
playoffs. But to see him miss shot after shot, it is jarring is not the word, but it's just like, man, you're gonna have to make a couple of these for the Warriors. If they have championship aspirations, as
Feast
we
or
all know
famine.
Draymond does. He's gonna have to hit these things on a consistent basis.
Feast or famine.
Oh
It
my
is
God. It
feast
was
or
mostly
famine.
famine.
Goodness. I mean, here it's just funny to see. Like, I asked myself, remember that when what's his face? I want Iguodala. I was sitting there thinking to myself, if I wanted somebody to take a three, and it's not Steph, and I had to choose between like Draymond Green and Buddy Hield,
No, don't say it. Don't come
I
on.
might
Man,
go with Draymond Green.
dog, you smoking that government
I
crack. Get
might
out of
go with
here.
Draymond Green.
Brother. Stop.
I want
No, you don't. No, I'm not.
Draymond.
I ain't gonna hold you on that. No,
I,
no, 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 no. You don't mean that.
I
You
do
don't
mean
mean
it.
that.
Actually, do mean it.
Hey,
Actually,
listen, just because you're wearing a bow tie at 10 o'clock at night does not mean you could say some wild ass ish and
not
then be like,
only
no, I mean, you would.
not only do I mean it, also, do you want a bean pie? I also, not only do I mean it,
Do you have the latest edition of Final Call, my brother?
I'll tell you what, time and time again, I have seen that guy hit timely threes. He does when they don't. It's like all of a sudden the timing for Draymond Green threes is always good. Even tonight, he had a couple, and I'm like, damn, this dude he hits them when you need him. There is a such thing as a clutch gene, I believe.
See, you sound like Shaq talking about his free throws. Like, oh, I hit him when I need him. Like, yeah,
I mean, it's fair.
but most of the time you missed them.
Yeah.
You're
That's why
only
we don't want you taking them a lot.
You're only counting the ones that you made. You're not counting the ones where they needed you and you missed them, because there were many of them where they needed you to hit those free throws and you missed them.
That's why I say, listen, I don't want you shooting him any other time other than when the clock is running down.
Okay, when you get handed a grenade and you got to get it out of
ball
your hands.
comes to you,
All
I
right.
feel comfortable with you taking that shot.
Fine.
That's what I'm saying.
That, however, is not the most inspiring thing, although it's 100% correct. The only way I want you taking a shot is if we are absolutely desperate and you are our only option. But if we have other options, even if it is desperation time, please, oh please, Draymond, do not shoot that ball from 3-point line.
I mean, it would be nice. I mean, Quentin Post finally woke up today and he finally shoot well, so that was good. And I wouldn't be surprised if they start Post. If Butler
I mean, it couldn't hurt, and people get hung up on who starts. Who starts almost doesn't matter. I mean, it matters, but more importantly, it's who finishes.
Mm-hmm.
The thing with Post and the Rockets, if they did start him, they wouldn't have a problem with it, because while, yes, you have to worry about Post from the outside, the irony of Quentin Post not being able to do anything in the post offensively and defensively, the Rockets will find a way to exploit that. So to sort of bring it around full circle, if this Jimmy Butler thing, this injury, this pelvic contusion becomes a series-long problem, or if the Warriors are able to get past the Rockets, a problem even longer than this first-round series, the Warriors are going to have to win these games on the strength of their outside shooting, starting with Steph, but Quentin Post, hopefully along with Buddy Hield, and maybe just a little bit of Draymond Green.
Yeah.
And some Moses Moody, who's been very good from the outside here as of late. But Quentin Post is going to have to be a part of that equation. And, having to stretch big, even though the Rockets are playing 90s style basketball, having to stretch big in today's NBA is never going to be looked upon as a problem or something that's a problem.
No, I think it's actually, I think it's one of the great new parts of modern NBA is pretty much if you don't have a skill of some sort, you ain't getting on the floor. The days of the goons are gone.
No, you're right about that.
You know what though? When people talk about old school centers couldn't play today, there's a handful of them where I'm going, nah, this one could play in this style of basketball. Like Akeem could play today.
Of course.
David Robinson could play today. Patrick Ewing could play today.
Ralph Sampson could play today.
You know who'd be really good? Bill Laimbeer.
Oh, he was good back then when what he was doing was like why is this big white guy all the way out there shooting those
Yeah,
things? Like, oh, I
he,
see why. It's still weird to watch, but we
yeah,
see why he's doing it. But yeah, Beer
he,
Lambier nowadays, oh my God.
oh, he'd be getting $45 million, man. Good defensive center, can shoot the three. Oh yeah, he's a perfect 3-and-D guy. He would definitely be getting paid.
Yeah, man. So going back home, the Warriors, 1-1, a split. You know they wanted more, and we
Sure.
talk about this all the time. Where teams get satisfied, like Minnesota did.
Yep.
They beat the Lakers in game 1 of that series in LA, and then last night you could see, I mean, pretty much from the beginning that Minnesota was like, "All right, you know what? We got the split. We're gonna go back home and take it from there."
I don't like
I
that.
don't think I'm projecting when I say that the Warriors don't have that type of mentality. Had Jimmy
No.
Butler not gotten hurt, we would have seen a game from them that was much more representative and much more competitive. It's going to be hard to handicap this thing now, just with the unknown of Jimmy Butler's injury. But let's just say, for the purposes of argument, Jimmy Butler misses games. He misses these 2 games
3 and 4.
at Chase. Jimmy Butler was not able to return until game 5 in Houston. I don't know the timetable on that, but obviously that would be what next. I think next. So game 4 would be Monday. I think game 5 would be probably Thursday.
Yeah.
Can the Warriors win? Will they win one, both, or none of the next 2 games 3 and 4 at Chase?
Honestly, I feel like they're going to split regardless.
Okay.
That's my feeling. I think they're going to split regardless. I think that this is going to. I thought this was going to be a 6-game series. I still feel that's the way it's going to turn out. 6-game series, one way or the other. I don't think we're going 7.
I think we're going to see a Steve Kerr coaching clinic.
Yep.
Because he's got to get in his bag right now. He's got to find a way to deal with life without Jimmy Butler for however long that situation calls for.
Yep.
And you're gonna have to get something out of these 2 guys that we've been talking about, mainly Jonathan Kuminga. You need to get something out of him. And Buddy Hield. It's going to be hard to win these games without the contributions from them, mainly, as we talked about with Kuminga, rebounding and defense, and whatever you get offensively from him, I think is a bonus. And you're going to have to get Buddy Hield to start to I mean, he doesn't have to turn into Steph from 2016, but he's going to have to not be a drag on the situation. And as of late, too much, he's been a drag on the situation.
Well, Kerr, one thing about Kerr is he doesn't give Buddy a lot of time to work it out. Buddy misses 2 or 3 shots, and then all of a sudden,
rightfully so.
You don't see him no more because when your only contribution is scoring, there's no point in you being out on the floor if you're not doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
And
what exactly do you do here?
If you don't bring anything else to the table, which is I'll circle this back to JK. If he's not scoring, he's not bringing anything else to the table. If Buddy Hield's not scoring, he's not bringing anything else to the table. Although I will say Buddy plays defense. He has been playing some really tough defense the last few months. So I'll give him that. He's like, well, if I can't shoot, I'm gonna try to stay on the floor. So I'm gonna play some defense.
I think though we are going to get and by the way, I agree with everything you just said. I think though we're going to get here with the Rockets. They have no reason to continue to play the way that they've played all series long. I mean, all season long under Ime Udoka and what they've done in the first 2 games of this series. They have been, it's not as if they've been unfairly targeted by the referees, and it's not as if their very robust style of play is not working for them. It is proven to be beneficial for them. So it's going to be interesting to see how the NBA decides, because we know they do.
Hey man,
how they decide to officiate and adjudicate the series and the fouls that go on between these 2 teams, because it got real stupid at the end of this recently completed game 2. Guys throwing towels at each other, and Draymond and Dylan Brooks getting into it. Chicken winging and elbows and all that stuff. It's I'm okay, and I think a lot of people are okay with the physical nature of this
I
series
love
and
it.
the physical nature of the playoffs.
Love
But
it.
you started seeing some sucker shit,
Yeah,
and in
hacking is not
particular,
defense. Hacking is not defense.
it's not. And just the chippy stuff, and in particular, there was one instance where Dylan Brooks, who again, we are not related. Dylan Brooks and Steph got caught up.
Yeah,
And I'm trying to find it here in my notes. Um yeah,
got
a
the
foul
foul.
called on him with about 6:11 left to go in the third quarter.
Yeah,
On his shot, and he and
yeah,
Steph got tangled up, and he got his feet tangled up with Steph, and
yeah.
it's Steph ain't no baby. Steph is not, he a grown man, but Dylan Brooks, kind of getting around his ankles and all that kind of stuff. That's sucker shit. Like that's the kind of stuff that it needs to be stamped out, because I don't believe that Jimmy Butler's injury was due to malice from Amen Thompson or Draymond Green or anybody else, but they got to get a hold on this stupid chippy stuff.
Yep.
Physical basketball is fine.
Yeah.
Dumb shit ain't fine.
Nope. And you are 100% right. They've got to stop it. They've got to stamp it out. And it may be one of those things where, the reps are going, like in football, there's holding on every play. You can't call them all.
Yeah.
And maybe they're just kind of banking on that. You can't call
which is the Rockets, and we've seen this before. The Pistons did it back in the day. Other teams have done it. But they can't call every foul. So force the referees to make a decision about what fouls they're going to call. I just wonder when Scott Foster, the cooler, is going to referee this series, because this is a series that is screaming for Scott Foster to get involved.
Yeah, this is I don't want it to get any uglier than this. Hopefully cooler heads will prevail and people pull their stuff together. But you know what? Maybe they should get out here and start calling fouls on everybody. Get everybody in early fouls. Dylan Brooks, 4 fouls in the first quarter. Like, now you're gonna calm down. Draymond, 4 fouls in the first 5 minutes. Now everybody's calming down.
It is, though, and I mentioned this earlier, because I don't think Steph, I got to go back and look here. So Steph didn't shoot a free throw tonight that was based off of a Rockets foul against him. Steph did not shoot a free throw tonight until 2:10 left to go in the third quarter. The previous free throws he shot in the game tonight were off of technicals. They were off of technicals. I'm looking at it here. Steph only shot 2 free throws in 40 minutes of game time in game 1. That's wild.
Yeah.
And we all see how he's being guarded. And Steph is being guarded very, very tightly. For Steph to only have 2 free throws in game 2 and 4 tonight, not shooting a free throw off of a foul against him until 2:10 left in the third, that's wild.
The Steph Curry's stuff is there could probably be a documentary about this stuff. The Steph Curry foul treatment, the treatment by the refs, is so weird and unique to me, because this is not new. Obviously, this is his whole career, and I just don't understand what it is that makes refs allergic to calling fouls.
I'm gonna make a comparison that I don't think is out of bounds.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know how to ref him like they didn't know how to ref Shaq.
I was just about to say, that's what they used to say about Shaq. We don't know how to ref you.
Now, we're talking about 2 literally completely different basketball players. I don't know if you could get a bigger gap between 2 basketball players you get from Shaq to Steph Curry. But I think their singular greatness and their iconoclast. There's only one Shaq.
Yep.
Only one Steph Curry.
Yep.
I think the officials, they just, Shaq would get clubbed and beat and hit, and they were like, well, he's 7'2", 300 pounds.
Yeah.
So that's supposed to happen, or it's not that big of a deal. He should be able to handle it. I think because Steph is such a great shooter and is good from the parking lot all the way to the hoop, I think officials look at him and go, well, the shot looked good, so he must not have gotten fouled. I just don't think they understand how to referee players as great as Steph and Shaq back in the day.
Yeah, this is my problem with it. Just a foul's a foul.
No, I completely agree with you. I
They-
completely agree with you.
I hate that this is what happens in the NBA.
Yeah.
Just call the foul. Oh, well, he's so big, like you said, he should be able to handle it. Or, well, he made the shot, so I won't call the foul.
Yeah, he got it off. He's quick. It doesn't matter. Yeah.
That is a weird thing. And this is not just a Steph thing. Like, I've seen this happen so many times where you get that late whistle. It's like the ref is waiting to see if the shot actually goes in or not.
It happened tonight.
I can't stand it. Call the foul. Or don't. But make a decision one way or another. Don't do this whole thing. It's just insane. The Rockets are an interesting team. But I do want to talk about their chances at the finals. You look at their record, but I watched them play. I'm like, I just don't think they've got the juice to get to. And even though they finished second, playing these other teams in 7-game series, it's just a different deal. And they don't have what I think you need to win a championship. You got to have at least one cat who's a closer for you. Like winning by committee, it's never worked. We've seen except one time when the Pistons did it, but other than that, it's never worked. It's never.
I mean, for me, it's even more simple. They just don't have the shooting to do it.
Mm-hmm.
They don't. Mm-hmm. They can't shoot. We saw that. It was to their detriment in game 1. Tonight they were better, mainly, if not singularly, because Jalen Green was better.
He was on fire.
He was 13 to 25, 8 for 18 from 3. The Rockets shot 45% from the field, 37.5% from 3. To me, that was all Jalen Green. He's clearly their best player. Obviously Sengun is there too, but Jalen Green is their guy. If he's on, they're good. If he's off, like we saw in game 1, they're not. But I think as a team, the Rockets have the length, they have the athleticism, they have the toughness, they have the mindset to make it a street fight if they have to. They get to the cup anytime they want to. It is strange to see them not be able to finish, but I think that's credit to the Warriors, but that doesn't stop the Rockets from getting to the basket because that's their offense. But if you cannot shoot in today's NBA, and they literally, the Rockets, cannot shoot, you might get away with that in the series. You're not going to get away with that. You'll get away with that only in the first round. But once you get to the semis, once you get to the conference finals, obviously, and the NBA finals, you're seeing the elite of the elite. If you can, hey man, nobody should be able to go into a zone against you comfortably.
Seriously.
and the Warriors are like, we just go zone these guys up.
Yeah, this 52 wins is really a testament to Ime as a coach.
Yeah. The way they play defense, the way they rebound, and just their overall get down of just pressure from their ability with their athleticism and their length to get to the basket. Over the course of an 82-game season, and you're seeing a team that's coming to your building and they've been on one of the 5-day, 8-game, 5 days and 8 games or something goofy like that. Like all of a sudden these young Rockets come just running the ball at you over and over again. Yeah, man, that's going to wear you out. But in the playoffs, when you have a chance to game plan them, as now the Warriors have 2 days to game plan against these Rockets, albeit without the services possibly of Jimmy Butler, it's harder and harder to win those games if you cannot make teams pay from the outside, and the Rockets cannot.
Absolutely. And I'm certain that in the offseason, they're going to make a big run at somebody who not can just shoot, but I think they're going to go after a star player.
Oh, you mean like Kevin Durant?
Kevin Durant would be great.
Yeah.
They have to give up something, but if you can put Kevin Durant on that team with that defense, you can start penciling them in to the finals.
Yeah.
I absolutely would. Absolutely.
Kevin Durant to the Rockets, Giannis to the Warriors. Ball
absolutely.
Up top.
Absolutely. I think the Warriors have to give up too much.
For Giannis?
Yeah. You're talking about another $50 million contract. I mean,
okay.
I just don't think they can stand it.
Giannis is one of the 7 best basketball players on the planet. Find a way to get that done. Find a way to get that done.
Well, here's the thing: you get him, but this is the problem with Kevin Durant. You get him, but you're gonna have to get rid of something.
Yeah.
You're going to have to get rid of something.
I don't know. All I know is if you have a chance to get Giannis, you figure out a way to do it. And what you have to get rid of, as long as it's not Steph, is what you have to get rid of.
I would definitely make the run at him. But see, again, it comes down to I don't think they have if it's just Steph and Giannis, they're not going to go anywhere. They're not going to go anywhere.
Well, it'd be Steph, Giannis, and Jimmy Butler in this very hypothetical situation we're talking about.
Really? You're going to pay 3 dudes $50-60 million?
But
yeesh.
I would pay those 3 dudes that money.
Oh, I'm not saying you wouldn't. I'm saying if you're realistically trying to win a title, having all that money tied up in 3 dudes, you're not going to be able to fill out a roster that's going to be competitive in a postseason effort.
I'm playing fantasy basketball. I'm getting them 3 dudes, and I'm gonna figure it out. Now, is this the same kind of hubris that doomed the Brooklyn Nets? Absolutely.
Yes, it is.
I don't care.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And you know, KD knows it too. If they stuck with 2 of them, cool.
I absolutely don't care. All right, so Warriors Rockets, that series is tied 1-1. It heads back to the Bay. Game 3 on Saturday, game 4 on Monday at Chase Center. All now of the Bay Area is going to put their head on the pillow and lay down and say a prayer to hope that Jimmy Butler is not out for a long time, because that's what it all hinges on. You know, what happened in game 1, what 100%. Happened in game 2 tonight, that's as dead as Napoleon. 100%. It's about game 3, game 4, and how bad is Jimmy Butler's pelvic contusion.
Yep, that's it. That's bottom line in it right there, buddy.
It is absolutely the bottom line. All right, my brother. I think we did it. You know what? We thought we were going to go on at 8:30, but I forgot that playoff basketball games take about 15 hours. Especially when you got all sorts of chippy nonsense happening from the third quarter on.
Facts.
But yeah, this is going to be fun. So we'll do this again on Monday after game 4. And we are going to have maybe a clear picture of how this thing is going to shape out. But boy, is it going to be much more in focus. But as it stands right now, what was a best of 7 series is now a best of 5 series. Just don't know if both teams, particularly the Warriors, are going to be at full strength. So I tell you what, man. Right. How about we get out of here and we make this thing happen?
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Hey, everybody, make sure you join us on Monday. Oh, that's a nice freeze, by the way. Can we screenshot that? You know what? Absolutely. We should get out of here right now. All right, everybody. That's the end of the Quality Hang Playoff Postgame Live. We will see you guys on Friday. And everybody, make sure you be good and you be at it. Be good at it. We'll see you. Bye.